Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Heal and Shift podcast. So here with the Heal and Shift podcast, we're bringing you a different vision of how things can be done to support the path towards health, healing and transformation. This is where I'm interviewing inspiring healers, practitioners, thought leaders, artists even, who help us expand our way of thinking and doing, and also give us the tools to heal ourselves. This is actually the 30th episode, and I'm delighted to introduce to you Natalie Munk, who's the founder and CEO of the Kaylo platform. Thank you for joining us, Natalie. And Natalie is, in her own words, an explorer, an artist, an entrepreneur. And now what she's doing is she's very passionate about changing the future of well-being, which she's doing through the Kaylo platform. And Natalie's bringing tools and transformative experiences to the world to inspire others to live their life to their fullest. And just a bit about me, a bit of background as your host. I am an Ayurvedic practitioner. I'm the author of the Dr. See You Now, Staying Healthy While the Medical System is Rebooted. I did a TEDx about 4 years ago, and my talk was titled, How Might We Be Healed in the Future? And my aim through my work is really to help activate self-healing, and the techniques that I share have also attracted many to train as Ayurvedic body workers. So Natalie, thank you for joining us today. Delighted to have you here. You look the picture of health, and your career actually was initially formed by how art and space exist in relation. Very interesting artistic background. But you have been on a lifelong quest for health, and you've created Kaylo, which is the home of well-being, and it's unique in providing answers for people looking for ways to thrive, to fast-track their learnings and experience. So can you bring us up to date? Tell us about your journey from working in New York City with all those wonderful artists to today holding what I consider a sacred space for people to heal.
First of all, thank you, Sunita, for having me. So I love all the work that you do. You're also on our platform because I think you're amazing in what you do. And I think what you do is so important. So thank you. And thank you for having me today. Oh my gosh, big question. So I've had many lives without a doubt. And I was an artist. I actually really believed, I believe everything has an effect on our being. And so even as a young child, I really believed that creating spaces and creating beautiful spaces and bringing beauty and proportion actually affected how we feel. And so I was quite fascinated about, and I'm severely dyslexic. So going into the world of academia was not an option at all for me. So I'm spatial and I understand energy and I understand sort of beautiful spaces. So that's kind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to turn people on, but I had no idea about anything to do with, I didn't know the word spirituality, nor did I know the words healing. I wasn't into that at all until, being dyslexic, I wasn't very good at school. I loved working. So I'm a worker bee. And I went to New York. I started working before I went to university. I was working in the fashion world. And then I left the fashion world after many years because I actually wanted more freedom because I'd studied a bit of architecture. And so I wanted to then go and started dealing with forms. And I went into fashion because I hated shopping, but I loved, and I could see how what you put on actually affects someone's mood and how they felt about themselves. So this constant relationship between us and the world around us and how it plays with us. And being a creative spirit, didn't matter what I worked in, whether it was wood or whatnot. My thing was what's the relationship between you and it? Then at the same time, probably in my 20s, I got very sick, and I got Epstein-Barr, which they think was also triggered by Lyme's, but they didn't know what it was for a very long time. I was in bed for 2 years, and this sort of started basically a 20-year health journey of having to deal with major health issues and 9 major operations and all kinds of crazy stuff. I spent more time and more money with doctors, surgeons, healers, desperately looking to come back to my sort of true north. And as a teenager, I was a professional athlete, and I was someone who was so good at being in their body. I had a lot of energy. I was positive. So I didn't quite understand. I kept on, even at the beginning, when you have something like Epstein-Barr or any sort of autoimmune, the first thing that they do is they think that, oh, it's psychological. They're not too far off. But at that time, I really hated it. I was just like, and they basically then didn't even give me any options of what to do. They were just sort of like, we don't know what's going on. You're just not functioning. They were like, your liver is shot. They said my liver was shot. And they said I needed to stop drinking alcohol, which I didn't drink any. I love dancing. So I was like, there's all of a sudden these disparities. But this basically sent me on this path while working, while getting married, while having 3 children, because I love my work and then my children. I had to deal with my health all the way through it. And that honestly became my number one thing. And I just constantly was looking for what's going on? Like, why do I keep getting sick again? Why do I keep having another operation? And just trying to really connect, but it took a long time to really understand and connect the dots. And I would say after 20 plus years, I now really understand the healing process, and where the issues went wrong, not where the issues went wrong, but where the opportunities came to be able to grow and become more connected with yourself and to learn more about yourself, to know how to expand.
Well, you talked about a few different things there. So operations, moving into a healing space. And now, very much, your focus with the experiences that you're delivering through Kaylo are focusing on consciousness, raising awareness. So at what point did you realize that was the key to unlocking, maybe some of the issues, challenges that your body was facing?
It's a good question. When I was a kid, and I came from an amazing, gorgeous family who I absolutely loved, but I was very dyslexic and couldn't speak. And so I had basically I couldn't function at school, nor could I function at home. I didn't feel safe. When you're silent, things happen to you. So I started really not liking being at home or at school, and I started really not feeling safe. And so the only place that I felt safe when I was 10, 11, 12 was nature. So I basically started having this insane communication with nature, as it would just save me. And if I didn't have that to have saved me, I'm not sure where I would be today, to be honest, because I needed to go out into the field. I needed to feel brushed by the wind to know that it was okay. I needed to see the leaves move. I needed to be around fire. I needed to be around the water. All these things naturally really, really helped my being. I didn't know anything about consciousness. I didn't know anything about meditating. But if I look back now, I was totally meditating when I was younger. I was so connected. It was my saving grace. So I think then I started in my 20s. When I started getting sick, I started doing energy work. I started meditating. I found yoga when I was 18. And when I found it, I literally was like, oh my God, this was a saving, total savior. And it became a daily regular practice. So I was starting to naturally integrate these things. I don't think I came to the word consciousness. I don't think I even knew it existed until, I don't know, maybe my 30s. And so, but it all made a lot of sense. It just made a lot of sense. I think with all my practices that I was doing over the years, and why it's so important is because that's when you get to a point of awareness, when everything is so connected, that that even when you're going through difficulties and challenges, it's actually okay. You're meant to go through whatever you're going through at this moment. And I think that's actually a really critical thing for us to be thinking and knowing, because it means that you don't constantly fall into the victim side of things, because when you fall into a victim, all of a sudden you go into depression. It's like, why me? And you just fully fall apart, and you're sick, and you're dealing with everyday battles, and life is a bitch, and you're constantly being slayed. So when you're all of a sudden able to look at a challenge, and a challenge comes at you, or you break your leg again, or you lose all your money or something, and you kind of go, okay. And when you are connected to this bigger network of interconnectivity, you kind of go, well, why? Like, what's going on? Like, what is it that I need to see? What am I supposed to be learning at this moment? What am I supposed to be changing? And it's a real opportunity for self-awareness, for growth, for understanding. And the more aware you become, the more exciting actually your journey becomes, because it just means that every single day is an opportunity to learn, grow more about yourself so that you can start really being able to flow through life much more easily. And that's the only thing in life we've got, right? Because life is tough.
Well, and we are a work in progress, all of us. We're all guiding each other home. Which is again, it's very much part of the journey. What I love listening to you is the curiosity. There's a huge curiosity there, and whether that's with materials, whether that's with art, whether that's with health, the body, and it sounds to me like that curiosity is what sort of drove you to maybe the next light bulb moment, and the continuation of staying on this journey, because for many they might find it a bit overwhelming to maybe sit and practice some of the the lifestyle skills that actually we're also talking about here. So I have to ask you, is there anything that still dominates you? Is there anything that you feel I still need to work a little bit more on that area, or I need to bring more of that in?
Really good question. I just want to go back to curiosity. Thank you. Because I do think curiosity is it's such a lucky thing to have. And almost to nurture it, because it is the curiosity that kind of saves us in everything. So it's a really beautiful thing and so I feel very thankful that I did. And I think I found these things because I was desperate. I needed help. Like I really needed help. I was I didn't find it anywhere else. So it was the only thing I could do to save me. And each moment I found something new that helped give me relief. And I don't even think I knew how much I needed help, but I was really needing help. So I think where the curiosity and being somewhat connected to your own intuition, to be able to go, when you feel something and you go, this feels good, and I got to go back, I got to come back, to lean into that. I think that helps. So today, oh my God, there's tons of stuff. My husband moans about it all the time. He's like, you're so wise. Da, da, da. But he's like, but look at you still getting arguments. And I'm like, of course I do.
Still there.
Until I am on my deathbed, I'm going to be having major issues. And he's like, you claim you're so happy, but you don't look happy. I'm like, no, I'm fine with not being happy at the moment. I'm fine with struggling. Overall, I am so happy, but doesn't mean I don't have no struggles. Oh no. And I have fear. You wouldn't believe it right now, but I have total fear of speaking and coming out in the world. It's one of the reasons why my team has been like, Nats, you need to come out. You need to do And honestly, I've been like, why? It's not about me. This is not about me. This is about all the amazing practitioners I bring together. It's all the beauty. I'm just putting it together because I understand it. I'm like, why do I need to come forward? And I guess as a kid who couldn't speak, and was severely dyslexic, and honestly, I couldn't find the words, and nor could I put them in sequencing order. I mean, on every level, I really struggled. Even at 12 years old, I was really struggling to speak. The guys thought I was beyond shy. I couldn't speak to one guy. So it was, and now my father, when he died, he was like, boy, you've made up for all those years of silence, because I can talk, but I'm not good at talking when I normally have to go out potentially to the world. So I'm learning, I'm getting rid of that. I'm working on fear. I'm a really big believer. When I was a painter, I had fear of the plain canvas was so beautiful, or you'd make something and it was so beautiful and you loved it. But I was like, but it's not deep enough. And I want to go deeper. And so I'd have fear, because I do love beauty and beautiful things. And I was kind of like, oh my God, sacred. I've made something really nice. I don't want to touch it. I could have fear of making an ugly mark at the beginning, but I was really conscious of it. And I was like, bring in the ugly mark, because it's about dancing with the ugly mark. And so I actually, every time there's a fear thing, I'm like, okay, it makes me go, let's step into it as opposed to run away from it. Let's do it. Let's go. Let's dance this dance. I'm gonna do it. So I started putting major messes on I would actually like forcibly make a boo-boo on my paintings. And then I would work with that, because I was just like, it's so important to work with what's natural. It's so important. And what is natural is actually the fact that we're not perfect human beings, that we are ridiculously, we're filled with, I won't even say imperfections, we're filled with uniqueness. It's just that our world loves to put everything in a box and say what is perfect. And that is the most stupidest thing in the world, because actually everyone is perfect. Everyone, even the ones who have offended, they have gotten there for a reason. And they are also a mirror to us in society of like, what are we doing in society to look after these people who have gotten to this point? So I'm a really big believer in stepping into fear, into celebrating all of our imperfections and loving all of our imperfections, and knowing that that makes you everything who you are. And so that's
beautiful. And that's such a strong message for anyone who's listening to this and listening to your words. And to me, when I listen to you, I feel like there's this huge, it's a calling, there's a huge obligation that you have to fulfill, and potentially that may help you break through any barriers that you may still have, in the sense of sharing the work that you do through Kaylo, your own message, your own journey, your own story. And we can all learn from that. We can all actually learn that there's something, that we do, if we really tap into what that purpose may be, that can help guide us and give us strength.
So I believe that everyone has a gift on planet Earth, and everyone has a gift on planet Earth. Everyone's giving their gift. And the key our job is to align ourselves, to get rid of our conditioning, and to align ourselves to really who we are. Because the sooner we step into and acknowledge and become aware of who we really are, not what our parents think we should be, not what society thinks we should be, not what Instagram thinks we should be, but when we step into who we are, all of a sudden it's true. Like, you figure out what you care about. And when you figure out what you care about, you do it. And like, there's nothing going to stop me. I've been hit on the head many times with Kaylo, and it's not easy. And I'm a female owner and founder and like all of those things. And oh my God, it's constantly started, but I'm like, I'm not giving up. No way. And my voice is getting louder because of that, because I'm just like, not only am I not going to give up, you guys, the whole world mustn't give up. I mean, we've got so much toxicity around us. We actually need to galvanize and help everyone remember how awesome we are, how amazing we are, not to get so sidetracked always into the dark and the toxicity and the shit. Okay, yeah, that's always around, but we're also fucking phenomenal. Excuse my language.
Yeah,
we're amazing and we're brilliant, and our human bodies are brilliant and they can heal themselves. Like, with the work that you do, you give them guidance, intelligence, and nurturing, and our bodies can heal itself. I mean, just so that I think, just for everyone to know, is that the only way I ended up healing, unfortunately or fortunately, for whatever reason it is, was when I went 100% natural. And I kept on going back and forth between these two worlds, because I get so sick. You're in the medical world, but I'm being pumped and flushed by so many drugs that then that would just ruin something else in my body. My stomach was completely ruined. Then I'd go natural, and the natural would save me. And I would get back into my vitality and my strength. Then I'd move countries, get super sick again. The first person you go see is like a doctor, GP, whatnot, more drugs in me. And then I get super sick again. And it was just like this ping pong until now. I know it so much. There's nothing. I don't touch anything. I'm totally natural. And I'm just like going, because my body is so intelligent, I'm giving it what it needs.
And also naturally, everything that it needs is much more accessible, because you haven't filled it with all the stuff that is going to create issues in your immunity and your strength, and it opens up opportunity channels as well. Yeah,
totally. And it doesn't cost money. This is the thing. This is what's also so interesting. I think we really try in Kaylo also to show that, and to try, because I was lucky. I had the means to go see 5 million doctors, surgeons, the top people and whatnot, and even the top people and the amount of money you're spending and the time, because it means I had to have a nanny for the kids. It meant that I couldn't work at that moment, like all these things. So I was lucky, and I would see the top people, and I was still getting lost and thrown around and getting sicker and the whole thing. And when I came back to the basic stuff, like, how do you simplify your life? How do you change your perspective? How do you breathe? How do you relate to your awareness and to the natural elements of the world? Dancing, music, all these things are totally accessible to all of us. That's what changed me. That's what got me better. Not going to see the doctors are amazing. Doctors are amazing. And they have also helped me. I have had 8 major surgeries, or 9, I can't remember now. And honestly, I've had, ACLs tear, this, that, and I couldn't be here without them. So we're not belittling them. I think that where I'm talking about, there are a lot of people who are sick with more because of anxiety, stress, depression, chronic autoimmunes, all of these things. The medical world is really struggling to figure out how to help. They don't know how to help those guys. And they don't know because they don't look at the root cause. They're not actually asking you. What is your emotional state? How were you as a child? Like, how is your marriage or your relationship to your parents? How do you feel inside your body?
Yeah. There's no real inner work that's going on, and
Nothing.
we have to shift all of that conditioning. And the only, we also have to do a deep dive, and we have to ask these questions as well. So we do have to go into some experiences that might be painful, but ultimately the awareness that we gain, which is all the wonderful work that you've done on yourself and you're sharing through Kaylo, is the wisdom, and it's that wisdom that actually then enables you, to move forward. And I know the work of Gabor Mate really resonates with you. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Gabor Mate, he's an addiction expert, he's a speaker, global speaker, author, and a physician. And his special interest is actually in childhood development, and actually how that impacts the way we are, the way we live, maybe some of the things that we experience in adult life as well. So tell us, what particularly is it about his work that resonates with you?
I have to say, I absolutely love Gabor, and I am so thankful for his presence on earth. And there's been also amazing, so many, and I'm not going to repeat their names because I'll get them wrong because I'm so dyslexic. But there've been also so many people who have led Gabor to get to where he has gotten to in his work. But I think, he's just come out with his book, The Myth of Normal, and that is going to change how we look at medicine. And if it should change. It should make us change how we look at medicine, because one, he's saying we cannot accept what is happening today as normal because everything is out of whack. And that's a whole nother conversation. I'm going to go back to Gabor. But a big part of it is because we are so disconnected from ourselves. We are so disconnected from ourselves. And normally we are a culture basically of walking zombies. It is true, because we have been disembodied at some point. So this is very much his theory. I 100% agree. At some point in your childhood, we go through a traumatic experience. It doesn't even have to be that traumatic. Okay. It's just an experience that happens to you, which feels like trauma as a kid, and you couldn't express it, or you couldn't let it out in your body. So then it gets trapped inside you. And as kids, we aren't able to communicate these things. It gets trapped inside you. You end up holding it. You don't understand it. And you start building walls around yourself to protect you. Those walls are normally the center of where you're going to get sick, right? Because you're not allowing yourself to access that area. So as you grow up, the walls get bigger and thicker, and they're the most incredible walls because they save you. And they're really important. But at the same time, they're not necessary. And so he talks a lot about, it's not the amount of cigarettes that you smoke that are going to kill you. It is actually, when was that moment when you separated from your body and you separated from the alignment of your true self? And he said something which I thought was just so beautiful to me, which is when you align your heart and your mind and your body, like your gut, that's when true wisdom happens. I think that's really, really beautiful. And I think you said something before, which is our ultimate goal in life is to understand and to get to our wisdom. Because if we can get to wisdom, we can start to really understand why challenges are happening to us every day and why life is so tough. And so that's all we need to do. So Gabor is, and he talks a lot that these things happen to us in our childhood because we're too young to be able to say what we need or to express it, or we're fearful, or all these kinds of things. And so his whole thesis is he's got a program called Compassion Inquiry, which is about being kind and loving to yourself while you go and you investigate what's going on, what happened. So you go back and you might revisit an old story, whether you do it yourself or someone helps you, a facilitator helps you. Make sure when you do this and you go back, all these stories, go back with an open heart, go back really soft and kind towards yourself, because you haven't done anything wrong. It's circumstances and situations that put you into this. There's no blame game here. There's nothing about like pointing fingers and judging it and whatnot. This is a moment for you to understand what happened. And then a lot of times you'll find that, okay, someone did something to you. It's a big one, right? It's like your father abandoned you or whatever. I mean, it's almost always, or someone stole the person who stole your rabbit in the play yard. And for whatever, that rabbit was your safety and your blanket, and someone ran away with your rabbit and threw it in the bin, whatever it was. And then, but that just was like, my rabbit is gone. My safety blanket's gone. So there's normally someone else who comes into it. And when you get to a certain level in your healing path where you're able to actually give them compassion because you realized why they did what they did, because they also had their issues and their insecurities and all that kind of stuff, you can just start seeing how it's okay. So you can forgive and you can let go. You can forgive and let go for yourself, for whether it's holding on to these issues and becoming a massive addict. Gabor and so many people, I have so much love and respect for addicts. Same with people who are slammed in jail. These guys, that no human being or natural being comes on this earth to have that happen to them. But it happens because they get disconnected from themselves. They can't access themselves. They can't be everything that they are. I don't believe that we're inherently bad. I don't believe in like negative, conspiracy theories. I'm not a big conspiracy thinker because I actually think by nature, if you look at children and they're left in a safe, with a roof over their heads, they've got food, they are just innate, beautiful beings, right?
Yes.
That's who we are. Right? So in the end, the healing journey is actually about connecting to the little child we were before we got hurt, and connecting that beautiful, innocent, gorgeous child who had its curiosity, who had its love for life, who's just looking at everything. And so we got to go back and connect to our gorgeous, yummy child and integrate it with our adult wisdom of our life experiences.
Wonderful. Yeah. Now, just to add to that, a number of the clients that I see, and I'm, helping them through a certain process, and I do see, quite a few clients who do have some level of childhood trauma, and we're kind of working through it with some, talking, and then also through energetic body work, and really trying to, move that impression that still is seated very deep in the cells. But, I've also found that people are scared to do the deep work. They're actually scared to open the workbook, ask the questions, and go into that space. So, from the journey that you've been on, what can people give up to restore their own sense of personal power? Because that's what they need to do to actually be able to go back into this space and not be scared about it.
So this is where I think education is really important. because I think people need tools, they need help. It's really hard to do it all on your own. It's really impossible. It's why the self-help market is so big. I mean, it's really difficult because what happens is as we get older, we have our survival patterns are so ingrained in us. We have our patterns and we're going to keep going through those patterns. So to break a pattern that's been going on for 20, 37 years, 40, 50, 60 years is really tough. You're asking a lot. So you need to know that you need help, and you need to ask for help, and you need to find help. And the key is to lean in to find help with people that you feel safe with. Safety is a really big issue. So the majority of people don't feel safe, and it's really tough to feel safe. We don't feel safe in our own bodies. That's a big one. Like we don't. That's why we can't drop into our own bodies. That's why something like a sound healing, as ridiculous as it sounds, and it seems so simple, it's actually the most profound thing ever, because we are made up of vibrations. So we are made up of vibrations. We are all affected by music. No matter what it is, you get affected by music. By us lying down, doing nothing, but letting ourselves melt and letting the vibration of the music do its magic into our body, whatever it's meant to do. But our whole job is to surrender to it and let the magical notes, because when something is done, when music is really good, even if it's disjuncting and hard and whatnot, there is actually harmony in it, right? And it's that harmony that our body needs to feel safe. So this bypasses the brain, because our brain is the most lethal thing ever, because our brain is toxic. It's been filled with toxic stuff. It is, it goes straight to the negative thing. All of a sudden we're lying down and we feel music, which shouldn't have that kind of toxicity on you, because it's just music. It's pure art, which goes back to the creativity. And you're able just to allow that beauty of the art, to know that someone created that art, and that art is going and dancing through your cells, and let that open and release yourself and surrender. And even by doing that, it can be so profound, because you can start really crying because you don't understand what's going on, because your body hasn't relaxed like that for so long, because our body is in permanent fight and flight. Almost everyone. That's why society is so out of whack today, is we are in fight and flight mode. So here's a simple thing that we can do. It's the same with dance. Dancing is something, again, this is where music is such a powerful tool to get, like the drums. Almost every human being can feel the drums. And the drums, if you can allow yourself to relax, to actually let the music dance you, as opposed to you thinking you're dancing, doing a dance move and getting your muscles on. No, let the vibration of the music dance you. You will shake out your shit more than you could ever think that you could shake out, because you literally are, it's almost like an exorcism or whatever, but you're dropping your head and you are coming to a cellular level on your body, and you're shaking out your trauma. And trauma gets caught, and you can have trauma in a day. I take trauma, the word, lightly, but also it's quite severe in what its effect is. But, you have a really bad meeting and someone says something horrible to you, that all of a sudden will get your body to stop, and then your neck will kink out and you won't be happy with yourself. So to me, that's trauma. So, but you get out and you're able, after a day, and you're able to shake it out and dance to the music you love, or whether it's flowing to classical music, it doesn't matter what it is. Just move that energy out of your body. So Sunita, I know I rambled off, but they're really accessible things of how profound these natural things are. And that goes back to consciousness, and the fact that when you understand consciousness, you actually really understand that all we are is energy. So if we can get out of the stories, out of our heads, and be able just to attach to what the feeling is that's going on, and to be able to figure out a way to break it up so it could dissipate, so that it feels good. That's our job. It's like we're moving energy.
That's our job. That really says it, doesn't it? And that is exactly what you have done with Kaylo Life, Natalie. That is exactly what you've done, and you're bringing all these wonderful practitioners, experiencers, into this hub. So And I know this is also an entrepreneurial journey. I'm also an entrepreneur and completely understand that journey. And so, but when did this vision become apparent for you? And what do you feel what did it require to manifest, to bring into being?
So I got the vision really strong in 2015. It was really clear. But I'd also just given birth to my third child. And you have a vision, but timing might not be quite right. And so I started working on it more in 2017, but it was also because I love spaces, and creating spaces. It was more of a real estate project and creating a home for this, because I believe space matters, and how we move through space really matters, and nature. So it was really supposed to be this amazing home that I hope one day we get to. But the pandemic really pivoted us. And when the pandemic happened, the world changed really quickly. I not only at home did I have, and I think he'd be fine for me to share, but my husband actually ended up he got a death sentence given to him, and he went through his own nervous breakdown. And while he was going through that, I knew how many amazing practitioners we had, and I knew how people weren't going to have access to anything. And I lived in London in a very mixed community around Goulburn Road and the whole thing. And I was just like, oh my God, everyone's going to be trapped in their rooms, and people are going to go nuts just because they're going to be trapped in their rooms. And I just was like, we need to get this online, and we need to get this to people fast. And I also realized, like, even if it's dance, like, even if we can get them dancing in their rooms with great music, and just for them to be able to release, or community circles, or community singing circles, or community anything, so that we could bypass all the effects that are going to happen to us. And so that then pivoted us to online, which was an extreme challenge for me. One, because I am not technical at all, and I don't like being online. And also because it actually relies on marketing, which is not my favorite thing at all. And I always believed, even when we were going to do the other project, that I was never going to spend money on marketing, because I'm a big believer that if you do something well enough and you're speaking the truth, you don't need marketing, because people will know that that's what they need and that's what they want. When you start a tech business, it's a totally different thing. It's like you're a needle. And then also we had major tech challenges, and major. And so it delayed us and this and that. But again, I really believe everything happens in its divine timing. And what I'm really thankful for, there was lots of questions of going straight back into the real estate and doing that. And I actually said no, because what I'm so excited for is that with what we've got and what we're doing, it allows us to be so much more democratic, which really means something to me. It means that we can have this, going to stay in a retreat center. I don't care even if it's a little retreat. Going on a retreat is what people who can afford to do can do. It means you have to take time off work. You have to get away from your kids. You have to be able to have the money. Like, on every level, it's a lucky person's journey to go on a retreat. And for me, I really want to get this work to literally anyone who wants it. So that means whether you're we're working with a housing company, who's the first housing company in the UK, who wants to bring in Wellbeing for people who have no housing, and whether they've just come out of prison or whether they're refugees or whatever. It's just like, I really want to get into more of the people who really don't have access to this. They don't know that it's accessible to them. And I want to help them know that it is there for them. And so by going online, it's actually really exciting, because it means that we can make this much more accessible to anyone and everyone who couldn't travel, or isn't surrounded and, close to you to be able to come see you, or they don't even know that this is available to them. So, that's where we're going, and we'll see what happens, because I believe everything happens for a reason, and it's going to go where it's going to go.
Yeah, it really does. And, at the end of the day, you're contributing to well-being on all different levels. So you can get into, move into communities, like you say. Once you're online, that platform really is accessible. You can go through, if you want to work with hotels and go that route, you can go through into the rooms in that way. You can still do, I know you still do live events, and that will continue as well.
We did festivals this summer. So what's fun is we know what we're doing. So now it doesn't matter where it goes out. It's about actually just making sure we're conscious with our time and energy because we don't have that much. We're still a small company, but
Yeah.
we know what we're doing. Like, I know that everyone who's been on our journeys online, the toughest thing is right now, people don't know that they can do so much healing work online.
Yeah.
And it's actually profound what can happen online. And we explored it because I had to do it with my husband, and we started right at the very beginning. And the thing is, you can do everything online. You can do energy work, you can do everything. And not just that, we do everything in supported circles. So it means you're with a like-minded community. One of the biggest reasons why most people are sick is because they're lonely. We have a world of lonely people. We've lost community. So we don't have the support system we used to have, which is, we're supposed to have the elders around. They're supposed to help us with the kids. They're supposed to all these things. We don't have that. So we end up having to go through our struggles all alone. We think that when we have endometriosis, we're the only one who has endometriosis, or we can't have children, we're the only ones who can. And so you're fighting all those things all on your own. And that's a lot of time. You end up having to try and, like, you have to navigate that. It takes a lot of time, takes a lot of energy, takes a lot of luck that you might get the right thing at the right time. We're trying to fast track that. Like, no. We have the tools. We have the journeys. We're here to hold your hand. You come to us for a specific reason, whether it's because you're wanting to get pregnant and you're kind of excited about it, but you want to make sure you're getting your body prepped in the best way, or because you're doing IVF, you want to get your body prepped in the best way, or you're going through menopause. We have the journeys. We've picked the best people. We've picked the best things for you to read. We've picked the best music for you to listen to. We've put these packages together that are awesome. And we hold your hand and take you through a journey. And you also get the intimacy. So you get to ask all your questions, and you also get the community. So you get to realize that you're surrounded by a bunch of other people who are going through exactly the same things you are. And that's,
Really
it means you can teach
community
them,
aspect.
and you get to teach them, and they get to teach you. And so it's not just about the practitioner, it's about the group. It's really beautifully profound. So that's what we do, Kayla.
And I have my one more question for you, my dear. And this is really, if you think about people who are listening to your words of wisdom, the power in your story, your journey, is what truths do you think they could tell themselves that would increase their health and wellness today?
I think it's the hardest thing to do, but I think we really have to start really loving ourselves. And so we have to, it's almost like compassionate love for ourselves, and to know that you are 100% perfect the way you are, with all your naggles and all your things. And to know that actually our challenges, our imperfections, those are actually our gifts. The things that come easily, the things that are successes in life, they don't teach us anything. What teaches us something is the challenges that we have to walk through, where we have to get hit on the head, we potentially have to die and rebirth, and we have to learn from it. That's where you're going to learn, and that's where you're going to get the biggest sort of transmissions of light and understanding of how this world works and who you are. So I say, all I wish is that everyone spends a little bit of time every single day. So I have a really simple trick. I have so many tricks. And that's what Kayla's about. Kayla's about tricks. Tricks and tools and experiences and all that kind of stuff. So because we need to trick our brain. So even by creating an altar. So I believe it's really important to bring sacredness back into life, because it just makes everything that much more nourishing, and everything can be sacred. It's gratitude and sacred, to be thankful for the nature around us, to figure out what we can be thankful for, for the love of my child. Even if I'm really struggling and I can't bring in the money, I am so thankful for this love, and we are going to get through this together because we were put here together. And so this ritual that I have is that I think everyone should do, is just somewhere, and it doesn't have to be grand at all. You create a little altar to yourself. And it's just, the most important thing is having a little photo of you, or photos of everything, people that you love, that have held you, kept you safe, nourished you, Don't put anything in there that really does not do that. Don't put anything in there for someone else's reasoning. This is really yours. And you might put in a stone or a rock that you found, or a feather that you found, or a leaf, or anything, or something that someone gave you. And you create this little altar, and you have a little candle, and every morning you light that candle, and you just say thank you to whatever it is that has supported you to get you through. And the most important thing you have to say thankful to is to you, to yourself. And it's just a moment for self-recognizing, even if you're in the dumps, and even if you're going through addiction, and even when it's really, really tough, I promise you, there is so much to thank in your being. It's not your fault if you're going through depression. It's not your fault if you're sick. It's not your fault if you're having anxiety. Our society is brutal right now. It's brutal. It's brutal to survive. So we need to create safety and safe havens and love havens for us to be able to thrive and figure out how to thrive. So lean into what feels good, lean into hang out with people who are truly supporting you to grow and evolve, and create that little altar to ask for help, to bring in whatever energy, whatever you believe in, and just say, please, help me. I'm here to listen. I'm here to be guided. And just, again, just self-acknowledge yourself, just the self-love. And if you need to wash things away really quickly, because we have shit that we need to wash away, every time you have a shower, every time you jump in water, just literally be like, just wash it away. Wash this shit away. It's only stories. Just wash it away. It's not who you are. Your shit is not who you are. It's just stories that happen to make up one part of yourself. And we have many parts of ourselves. So focus on the yummy parts of yourself, the parts that you want to ignite, you want to connect to, the dream and the wish that when you were younger, you're like, God, I really love singing. Sing in the shower, whatever it is, just find the simple things, smell the roses, lean into beauty, because it's all around. And nature, go in nature whenever you can, because it's always got your back.
Yeah.
So much.
Well, thank you. No, I mean, sharing timeless truths, and really, I feel, helping inspire people, yourself, your journey, also through Kaylo, to make more conscious choices, and to really, like you say, awaken to their innate wholeness. So for those that want to connect with the journeys, it's the website is it kaylolife.com?
kaylolife.com.
Yeah.
And we're small and we're growing. So watch the space, but come join us. And know, I think most importantly is that we really are there for you. So if something's going on, you can reach out, you send us an email, and we're there to help. And we want to help as many people as possible. So just let us know how we can help and what you need.
And is there anything, are there any experiences coming up that the audience should know about? Is there anything particularly soon that's starting?
Yeah, there's, I believe in January, I'm not very good again with my beautiful dyslexic brain. I can't remember much. But there is a couples workshop that you don't actually have to be in a couples situation, but you want to know how to hold yourself while being in relationship with another person. That's coming up in January, and that's after, and I think it's some of the most fundamental, potent work we can do on ourselves. And I think everyone should do it, because it just means that, again, it's tricks and tools to help you become more aware of your triggers, your partner's triggers, how you can communicate better, and then also how you can have more fun together. So, and that's what life is all about. So is that we also have a gut, brain, heart connection, so that people can understand that these guys are all very, very connected into our well-being. And in order to be able to thrive, not just survive, how the understanding, so we learn sort of scientifically what's going on with the connection, but then also tricks and tools to help with aligning all of these areas so that we can become more connected with all of our different parts. We have so much going on. We have a menopause one. There's so much, and there's so much more that's coming. There's so much. Yeah, it's exciting.
Wonderful. Well, Natalie, thank you so much. And, we're looking forward to hearing more and just joining you on this journey.
Sunita, you're so with me on this journey, and I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful for all the work that you do. It's amazing. And I just think all of us people who are who have the same thought patterns need to come together and make some real noise that this is possible for people. So thank you for having me today.